So welcome back. In this Selenium with Python series, we are going to see about this Selenium exception and how to handle those exceptions. Okay. So first let's try to understand what are the exceptions and why we will be getting the exceptions or the Selenium exceptions. Exceptions are basically the unexpected conditions or like you are not intending that they should happen. So that situation actually you will be getting the exception. So Selenium exception are different types of exceptions are there. We will be seeing that one by one. So few of them I can list out real quick. Like one is you are trying to identify an element, but you are not able to identify because the element might take some time, and by that time your script is executing. We already have seen few of the exceptions in our Selenium with weights, explicit and implicit weight. Sometimes let's say that you're trying to handle or you're expecting an alert to be populated, but the alert is not found, or you are switching to a new window. You're trying to switch to a new window, but the new window is not appearing. So these are the what do you call the very popular your Selenium exceptions that you might get it. Some kind of errors you might get in your application. So these kind of errors might what do you call will occur at the runtime actually. Like one of the instance I can say assertion errors actually. So assertion errors are basically where you are comparing two values, like let's say that you have launched a particular URL but the title is not matching because it might have rendered a different URL or different title. So that's where actually you will get the assertions. Or let's say that you're expecting a particular text from a particular element but it's not matching to your expected, so that time you will be getting the assertion errors. So we need to handle these two kind of exceptions and errors actually both together. Then only your script will execute in a proper manner, else it will stop your execution then and there only. Okay. So now the question comes, why do we need to handle these exceptions? Because as we say that exceptions are basically the what do you call some kind of unexpected things and it should end your execution, right? But there are different kind of situations where we need to handle this exception. If the exception occurs, yes, you do something. If the exception is not occurring, then you can go with the continuation flow. I will be giving few of the examples in both the cases. Okay. So let's get started with the Selenium exceptions. Okay. So there are a lot of Selenium exceptions are there. Let me just show you those things. So here are the Selenium exceptions. Selenium given a good documentation. If you go to the Selenium dev site with the by common Selenium common exceptions, because the class that we are going to use is the or the package is basically selenium.common.exceptions. So this is the package which uh, we should be using if we want to handle the exceptions. Okay. So it has listed all the available Selenium related exceptions, but we are not going to see each and everything because we might not encounter all these exceptions in our real time scenarios. But still I will try to cover as much as possible, and we need to understand why these exceptions are coming. Because see, the main reason behind understanding these exceptions, you are executing your test actually. Okay. Now your execution stopped and then it is providing some kind of failures you are getting. Now these failures are basically because of some kind of exception. Now by looking into the exception, we need to be in a situation to understand what is the cause. Like as I was telling, if a particular exception is referring to it's not identifying the element, then we can think of, oh, okay, maybe this release the element identification would have changed, so I need to update the script. Okay, I am expecting a alert exception, then I'm expecting that the alert might not have come at that moment, and we need to wait for certain amount of time. So these are the troubleshooting scenarios where you need to understand the exception. Accordingly, you need to update your script so that it can execute in a proper manner. Okay. Now let's try to see few of the exceptions. Like one I was talking about where you will not be getting the proper element identification. So if you see here, no such element exception, it's basically occurring because of the two reasons. One, the selector you are using, maybe that is not proper, or the another condition would be like, one is like, let's say that you are trying to identify a particular element with ID username, but your developer would have changed it to user or just a name. So that time you need to update your script. Another scenario would be, let's say that you are trying to identify that element, that element identification is correct, but the time your script is executing, your application is taking certain amount of time to populate that particular element on the screen. So that time also we might get the no such element exception. Okay, now let's try to handle this simple no such element exception. Okay, so for this, as usual, let me create a new file and let me give that as a test underscore selenium exceptions, some name I'm giving, exceptions.py. Okay, and let me copy from here. Okay, so what I'm doing here, I'm going to the signups page on our demo site, and here I'm asserting registration so that I will be make sure that the website is loaded properly. Now let's go to this site. Okay, okay, so now if I go to this one, let's say that this one, and let me just expand this one. You can see the ID is username, right? Now let me try to identify this one, driver dot find element by ID, and oops, sorry, username, and then I'm saying that dot send keys, some value I'm saying. Okay, now here I'm putting a time dot sleep of 3 seconds and then driver dot quit. Okay, fine, simple Selenium code, which we know already what this will do. But let's say that this username before it was just name only. Okay, and now the user changed this release to username, but we did not update our script. Now let's see what kind of exception it is giving. For this, let me run by using pytest-sv src elements and then test underscore selenium exceptions dot py. Okay, so it is waiting. Now it will wait for how much amount of time. So let's see. And then here you can see it is throwing me an exception because this particular element is not found. And if you see the exact error, you can see here no such element, unable to locate. And here you can say, see, no such element exception. Okay, now let's say that by looking into this, if you see here, that should be like the exact error. What is that? You can see the CSS selector ID equal to name. Now by looking into this, you can understand where exactly problem with my script, and then I can go back to that particular line, and then I will now make sure that this is the line where it is throwing the exception. Then I have to go back to my application. Now let's what do you call, inspect this one and then get the new ID, whatever it is there, and it is username, and then you need to come back and say username. Then your script will work as expected. Okay, so that is the troubleshooting you need to do when you are getting no such element exception. Fine. Okay, now another thing, one scenario I was talking, why do we need to, now I was telling that we might get some kind of assertion errors also. Okay, so now the question comes. Now I was telling, right, why do we need to handle this? Yes, one handling is that after the test script got failed, I can come back to this script and then I can say that update the script, and then next time it will execute properly. Now, what is then where exactly we are handling this exception? There are situations, I got to know few of the situations where we need to handle this on the while writing the script itself only. Now the thing is that let's say I'm doing some kind of UI validation. Okay, now in case of UI validation, I want to check whether this particular element is really having a label as full name or not. Okay, so there is a label name is there. Now if I identify this element, the text should be full name. Okay, so that is my validation. Then I will be checking whether the element is present or not, text box, and then I will enter something, fetch the data, compare it whether the data is correct or not. Then I will move to this one. So basically this is the what you call your what do you call the UI validations actually. Now in some cases in the UI validation, let's say for some reason this level is not correct actually. Instead of full name it is just coming full username. Let's say this text is full username. Now your script will fail at this instance only, so it will not proceed to the end of the execution. That is what the exception does, right? Now in this scenario actually what we need to do, we need to handle the exception. It means that even though this name is not correct, please proceed with the next line of code, because all my steps are not interdependent. Means if this name is not proper, it doesn't mean that I cannot enter the text here. I can enter the text, okay, but if this submit button is not working, I cannot test the registration confirmation. Okay, so that is where actually your test is dependent, or the test steps are dependent. But here each of this UI validation, whatever I'm doing, the test steps are not dependent actually, they are independent to each other. So if I end my execution here, then I'm not able to verify the rest of the things. In this scenario we can handle the exception and say that okay, exception is coming, yes, just give me a log, actually some kind of log, and then proceed with the rest of the execution, so that I can completely validate the screen and get what kind of problems are there in that. So let's say two fields are not working properly, then yes, I will get two what do you call exceptions into the log actually, or into the console output, but at least I will come to know that my other fields are working fine. Okay, but if I'm stopping the execution at the beginning because of some problem, I might not even proceed with the any other failures are there or not there. So that is why like we need to handle the exception, and this is mostly required when your tests, your in the test case we are writing different steps, right? If the steps are not dependent, sorry, independent of each other, that time we need to handle this exception. And it is very much important when you are building your framework and you're writing like vast number of test cases. Now let's try to mock up this scenario which I'm talking. So I'm identifying this particular level, and it is label name, right? Now here let me go to here, and then I will say driver dot find element by id, and here I'm just identifying this element, okay, and then I'm asserting actually this one, assert, and then I will say maybe full name, okay, full name, in where I need to call this element dot text. Okay, so I need to verify this one. Okay, now let's say that for some reason I'm expecting full name 1 actually, then I will proceed to my next line where I will be trying to identify this element, and then I will say whether this particular element is present or not. If it is present, just try to enter some value here. So send keys, and then I will put QAB box. I can do even one other validation. Normally what we do in real time, I'll put another EL here, or maybe I will say username, and then here I will say username dot send keys, and I will assert actually this one. Okay, assert, I will say QAB box, and then in I will say username dot text. Oops, why it is not coming? Just a second. Control space bar, and I will say text, because see these are the kind of validations we normally do when we are checking whether the text field is working fine or not, whether a particular level has the required text or not. So these are the steps. Now if you see, this step and this step is completely independent of each other, because like let's say if this particular name is not correct, I don't have any problem to enter a text and validate this field. Now in this case this particular what do you call line will be failing actually, and it will not even proceed to this one. Okay, that's where one exception will come here and the test case will stop there, which I said that we need to handle this one. Now if you see here in this case, now let me do one more thing actually. here let me find another one, driver dot find element id. Let's go to this one, and then this is email, right? So I will put email, and then I will say dot send keys, and I will put some email. Okay, qbbox@gmail.com. Fine. And here let me give this one. Now if you see this one, if this element is not able to identify, then it will not come to this element. But if you see, this email field and username fields are entirely independent. So let me do that actually here. Now here what I'm doing, this one will pass it. Now this one I'm trying to make it fail at this moment. Now let's see what happens to my script. Okay, so as you can see here, the exception came, no such element exception. And if you see the exact error, and here you will see the username is not able to identify, means this particular test step got executed properly. Here exactly it stopped my execution, it did not proceed to this one also. That is the problem. Now here, if I that's why I said it is important to handle the test steps, those are not dependent each other. Now let's try to handle this. Now we will be using the try catch block in Python actually. So what I will do, now here I will try to do all these things, and then I will say except actually. So this is basically the try catch block. Okay, and here I will say I will print something, and maybe I can put like this. So no such element exception, right? So I will write exactly this exception actually here. Now if let me import this one. Okay, now if I'm getting no such element exception in this, then don't stop my execution, just catch that exception and then come out of the loop. That is what I'm going to do. Now here what I can do, now how do I know that the test case got some problem with this? So I can print this particular statement whatever I'm getting here. For this I'm using a print statement in the except block. There is a code syntax actually. I can say trace back dot format and then underscore execution. Okay, so this is the method actually I'm going to use it. Now let's see, import traceback. So it is just a package I'm importing here. Okay, and here actually the thing is that I need not to even do this one. I can just do like this, and then this should work for me. Okay. Oh, it is exec actually. It's not exec. Okay, so I will just print that exception so that I will come to know whether this particular step is executed or not, and then it will go to this next step without stopping or without failing my test script. That is why handling this what do you call independent test steps is very much required. Now let me go to this one and rerun this. You can see the email field is executed, but the username field did not execute because I'm getting some error here. And let's see, but you can see test case got passed, but we need to very much cautious and see whether any kind of exceptions I'm getting or not. So as you can see here, I got an exception with this username field, but it proceeded with the other test steps. So that is how you can handle it. Now I was talking about this exception handling, right? There is some kind of problem where I said, even let's say that if some kind of assertion is not happening, okay, for some reason, let's say that full name one I'm expecting, but it is getting full name actually from the application. So let's say that in this application, I'm expecting full name one, but it is actually returning me full name. Then it will fail in this case. Now how to handle this scenario, because this is not an exception, right? This is a assertion error I'm getting here. Okay, this is where actually I will get the assertion error. How to handle this one? Now for this it's very simple. I need to go to a try block and execute whatever the step I want to write. Then I will go back here and I will say except, and then I will say assertion error actually. So assertion error, and then I will put like this, and let me get the okay assertion error, and here I will just print like this whatever the stuff it will be giving me. So I will just say like this. Okay, and then I will just print this one. Now let's try to print. So now it will fail this one and this one also because the username is incorrect here. Let's try. You can see email got executed, but the other two did not work actually. How do I know that? By going into the exceptions. Actually, you here you can see the username field is not working, which is basically no such element exception. But what about this assertion? This one actually, it even executed thrown error, but it proceeded with the next one. Let's see with this one. So if I go back to here, you can see assertion error. I am expecting full name 1 but actually returned full name. You can see this is basically returning from the what do you call, from the application itself. So this is the way you can handle the exception and also the assertions also, and then you can execute till end of your script actually, so that you can see all the steps that you have executed. Sometimes it takes time, but that's why very strictly I said that when you are using UI validations, because most of the UI validations, your what do you call, the test steps will be independent of each other. But when you are talking about functional testing, let's say that you are having some issue with the login actually, so you cannot put that login functionality into a try catch block, because there is no point of getting inside that particular application, right? So if the login is not working, don't put any try catch block. If the login is not working, it will just stop there only, because we cannot proceed with the next what do you call, next step of that particular functionality. Okay, so use your smart brain and then think about where we can use the try catch block. Fine. So this is mostly related to your assertions and basically more into the no such element exception. But we have seen there are so many other exceptions are there. Okay, why not? We will explore those things bit about that. So if you see, there is one exception which I can see here is the no such window exception, no such frame exception. There is one more is also no alert present exception. So these are basically the exceptions where you are trying to switch to that alert window or frame, but that window is not yet appeared or it is not appearing at that moment. So that is something, that's where actually you will be getting that exception. Now to mock that up, actually we have this application, and here you could see a submit button. If I click on this submit button, you will see an alert is coming here. Now let's say that I'm clicking on this button, but the alert is not appearing due to some reason in your application, and I'm trying to handle that alert. Okay, so that is where actually you will get the alert exception. Let's try to mock that up. So at this moment, what I'm going to do, I'm just trying to click something, maybe this one, and then I'm expecting that an alert should come. Okay, so let me do one thing. I will just comment all these things because these are all done. Now here, let me just put like this, or maybe I will do like this. Driver dot find element ID. I'm clicking this username field, but I'm expecting that an alert should appear. Now think about this username is my submit button. I'm clicking on this, one alert should appear. That is what my expectation. But at this moment, the alert will not come. Now, how do we handle in alert in Selenium with Python? So we basically need to do driver dot switch to. So there is a switch to property, and which is giving me an alert property. Now, if I do this one, then I can accept this one actually. So this is the way. Now I'm clicking on this username field and expecting that one alert should come, and I'm switching to that alert and clicking on accept, so that that alert should go away. But in reality, it will not pop me up any kind of alert. Now let's see what kind of exception I'm getting. Let me run the same code. Okay, it clicked on this full name field, but the alert is not coming as expected, and it is giving me no alert present exception. That is what I was showing here, no alert present exception. Okay, now this could be this alerts could be because of two reasons actually. One is maybe your application is not working. I mean, I'm expecting if I click on this one, alert should be coming. That could be one of the problem actually. Another problem, when I'm clicking on this submit button, the alert might not come at the same time actually. There might be some delay because of the alerts normally comes for a confirmation, right? Means your application will do some kind of manipulation. If it is correct or some kind of error is there, then it will populate one kind of alert. That is what the alert functionality. Now sometimes we might not get that alert because your application is manipulating on the back end, but by that time the alert is coming, before to that only we are trying to switch to that alert. So this could be one of the other reason also. Now if we are expecting an alert and the alert is not at all coming, that's where actually you need to handle, and it's really an application issue. But the second scenario which I told, that the application is doing some delay to populate the alert, so that's where we can handle it in our script. And for this we can use the WebDriver wait. Okay, now how do we do that WebDriver wait? Now, so there is one option actually here. Let me show you that WebDriver wait, and then I will say driver object I will be passing here. We know already how to do this one. And until, and I will say ec dot, and I will say alert is present. There is one method actually, you can see alert is present. Now this particular method will check and wait till the alert is coming actually. Okay, so I mean, let's say that the alert will come after 2 to 3 minutes actually. So it will wait till 10 minutes, will wait for that alert. If it is coming within 10 minutes, sorry, 10 seconds, then it will go to the next line. If it is not, even the alert is not coming even within 10 seconds also, then it will not return the no such alert exception. So here we were getting no such element exception, right? No such alert present exception, we were getting this exception. But in this case, if within 10 seconds also the alert is not coming, then it will give me timeout exception. So any kind of WebDriver wait, if the condition is failing, anything like presence of element, visibility of the text, we have seen right in our Selenium waits. If this particular WebDriver wait is failing, then we will get this timeout exception. Let me show you that. Okay, again we are mocking this one because I'm clicking on the username dot click. I will not get the what do you call alert here, but it will wait for 10 seconds to populate that alert. If still within 10 seconds it is not coming, then it will throw me timeout exception, and it will not go to this one also, because this particular statement is dependent on this. That's why it will fail here itself only. That is how the WebDriver wait is designed. Let me run this code. So this time you will just get a different exception only. It clicked on this full name field, but it is waiting for 10 seconds so that the alert might come, but the alert will not come. And here you can see it is giving you a timeout exception. Last time it was giving no such alert present exception, but this time it is giving timeout exception. So whenever you are getting a timeout exception, make sure that which line it is coming, go back to that line and see whether you are getting a WebDriver wait or something. Okay, as per that you will try to identify if it is an application issue or a performance issue, or what exactly is that issue is there. Okay, so that is how this no such element or sorry, no such alert exception actually. Even you can see the same thing, you can give it a try with no such window. You might be like switching to a particular window or switching to a frame. Now for this, what you can do, you can go to this particular URL. Actually here, if you go to this frame, these are basically the frames actually. Now if you're not giving a proper frame ID, but you are trying to switch to that frame, then it will give you no such frame exception actually. No such frame exception. Okay, you can give it a, try actually on that. Okay, so now we have understood no such frame, no such window, no such alert, no such element exception. And then let's see what else I can demo you here. And these are like very much understandable exceptions, like invalid coordinates. Let's say that you are giving a coordinate that is out of your browser window, you will get what do you call, because it is not able to find it out what position you need to click. If you are using any kind of coordinate clicks, then you will get this one. Invalid argument exception. Let's say that one method is saying a particular argument you need to pass, but you are not passing properly those arguments. Like if you are using any command line executions with respect to Selenium, then you might get this invalid argument exception. And then if you see here, there is something element not selectable. Now let's say that in your, if you are handling a drop down or something, where let's say that one element, one of the option is disabled actually in that drop down option, means you cannot select that option, but you are trying to select that, so you will get element not selectable exception. If you are handling to a hidden element, let's say that one of the element is hidden in your application, but you are trying to yeah, do some kind of action, like let's say you are trying to click on that, or you are trying to fetch the text, or you are even trying to send some value. If it is a text box but hidden, then you will get element not visible exception actually, because that element is not visible on the screen. Okay, and then there is one more exception. Let me show you that. No such attribute exception. This is basically because in our elements we have different type of attributes are there, right? Like we have name, class name, ID, all these things are there. Let's say you are trying to fetch one of the attribute by using the element dot get underscore attribute, and that attribute is not present, then you will get no such attribute exception. That's what it is saying, thrown when the attribute of the element could not be found. Okay. And it is different for different applications. I have seen, actually I have tried to replicate this particular exception. It is basically returning me a none actually. Let's say I'm just trying to identify element dot get attribute of something xyz. It is returning me none actually, instead of giving me this exception. Okay. Now here what it is telling, let's say that you are trying to use that attribute, but for that browser is not supporting actually, because different browsers have different kind of properties are there, right? So you can use that. Like if you see for IE, I mean it is inner text, but when you are going with Firefox, it is dot text content, but for Chrome or Edge browser, it will be dot text. So if it is your browser is not supporting that particular attribute, then you will get no such attribute exception. Okay. And then a remote web driver server, like if you are using Selenium grid or something, and you are using remote driver, but the driver is not instantiated at that moment for some reason, then you will get remote web driver server exception. Okay. And session not created, this is again if the driver session is not yet created, but you are trying to use that driver. Let's say that you are saying driver dot get URL actually, but the driver is not yet instantiated, you will get session not created exception. Screenshot exception, like few of the applications they don't allow you to create a screenshot, but you are using that time, you will get the screenshot exception. Then still timeout exception we have already seen. This is basically coming where we are not waiting enough time, or the application is not at all there, that particular element, but we are using WebDriver wait. So that time we will get the timeout exception. Now one peculiar exception which I've seen most of the people now, like search in Google, they encountered this exception, stale element reference exception actually. Now they have explained properly, let me just reiterate the same thing. So they are saying that you are no longer on the same page, or the page may have refreshed actually. So the thing is that the element identification is correct, but at that moment while you are using that element, application is getting refreshed actually, your DOM is refreshing, it is, or it is updating. Let's say that you have added some kind of elements into your browser actually on the fly, that time your DOM is trying to refresh. So while your DOM is refreshing, if you are trying to use any kind of element on the screen, then it will throw you this exception, because that element is present but that reference is already gone, so whatever it identified before actually. So we can handle this one. Now normally these kind of exceptions are coming if you do like this kind of things. Let me find a good example actually. Okay, let me do here, go here and comment everything. Let me just take this particular example, username field, because that is on top of the page, so it is easy for me. Now what people tend to do, they will do like this, and then they will say el dot click. Now they will perform certain operations, and then what they will do, they will just say like this el dot send keys, and then they will pass some variable, and you will say there is nothing wrong in this, right? We already seen like these operations. Let's say they clicked on this particular field which is working absolutely fine, but after that what happened, after you clicked, something happened to your browser application, browser screen, and it refreshed actually. Okay, so driver dot refresh. Now after refreshed, or you are refreshing actually, now your dom got changed because it updated, or even though it did not add or delete any of the elements, but it refreshed actually. When it is refreshed, it means that your dom is reloaded actually. Now when the dom is reloaded, any element that you identified, the reference is gone, means it is able to identify that, but to use this element, the reference is gone actually. That is the problem actually. Now in this case, if you see in a bad eye, you will see there is no problem with this, it will execute as usual. Let's try to execute this particular code. Okay, now it clicked on this, it refreshed, but it did not enter the text actually. Why? Because you are getting stale element reference exception. Now this is because our demo site, I am just trying to mock it up by doing this particular statement, but I will tell you few of the scenarios where this could happen. Let's say that you have identified all the elements at the beginning of your script, because that is normally people tend to do that, right? They will put all their objects on that particular screen. They will just say that username equal to driver dot find element, email equal to, then telephone number equal to driver dot find element. Everything they will initialize at the beginning, all the elements, and then they will keep on use in the throughout the script. Now in between there might be something might happen. Let's say that you are selecting a particular checkbox, and that checkbox is basically refreshing your backend, and then you are trying to utilize your these elements which you already identified. That's where you will get this tail element exception, because your application would have manipulated and refreshed actually. Now how do we handle this one actually? One easy way which I can say is that now whenever you feel like let's say anything that you are doing and you think that the application will refresh, the solution is that you re-identify that element. Okay, now let me show you that. Now let's say I clicked on this element, and I know that once I click this element, my screen will be refreshed, and anything that I'm using here, this will be creating me problem actually. So what I will do here, now I will put this one in try block actually. Okay, and then I will say try el dot send keys. If it is executing properly, I don't have any problem. If it is not executing properly, because I might get this exception actually, stale element exception. Now if I'm getting this particular exception, oops, oh sorry, copy and then space paste. If I'm getting this exception, let me import this exception. And if I'm getting this one, what I will do, I will do like this driver dot find element by id, simple thing. I will do like this, and then I will say el dot send keys. Again I will try to identify that element, and then sorry, here identify that element, and then I will send the text. Means if it is on the first sort, if it is working fine, well and good. If I'm getting a stale element exception, let me retry or re-identify that element and then enter the value. Let me try to run this. Now here you can see no stale element exception. It just executed that, but it actually basically it came to this tail element exception and it executed this line of code, because here I'm getting this tail element exception. Okay, so that is how you can handle this one, actually tail element exception. And then there is something you might get, WebDriver exception. This is the last one I wanted to talk. So basically what is happening, whenever you are what you call, you are nullifying your driver object, but after that you are trying to use this is the case actually where you are using in framework, you are using setup tear down. Actually, after the tear down method executed, tear down is basically will execute at the end of all the test cases executed, actually individual test cases executed, then it will go to the tear down where it is driver.quit or driver.close, whatever it is there. But after that, for some reason, if you are using driver, normally I have experienced this scenario. Let's say that you are doing a tear down. Now tear down will be in one other file actually, but you are taking a screenshot. Now it is our tendency, right, always to take a screenshot if the test case is failing. Now what is happening, sometimes your driver already closed or quit your browser, but the utility method which you have written to take the screenshot, that also need your driver object. Now that time it is trying to fetch the driver object, but the driver is null. Actually, that time either you will get a null pointer exception because the driver is not there, or you will get the web driver exception. It means that the driver is not present at that moment, or it is already what do you call, already we have nullified that driver object. Okay, so whenever you are getting this kind of exception, make sure that whatever the driver object you are using should be before the driver.quit or close executed. Okay, before to that, the whatever the driver objects you are using there. Fine. So these are the different exceptions or the assert errors we are getting, and then depending on the situations, you can handle the try catch block. Okay. Now, one thing is there, this tail element exception. Normally, this is again not a best practice actually to use it. Okay, I have used it for demo purpose, but why I'm saying this is not a good practice actually. Just think about a situation where you have like 15 elements on this particular screen. Okay, now we don't know what scenario the 15 which element actually it will throw the WebDriver tail element exception. Here in this case, I know because I refreshed the screen and the next line will be coming as stale element exception. That's why I put the try catch block. But in reality, I mean, I would suggest to everyone to not to use this approach actually. This will be difficult. I mean, at the beginning, you will be identifying all the elements and then use it. The good practice is that whenever you are performing any operation, at that moment you try to identify that element actually. Okay, means any action that you are doing, click or send keys, at that instance you try to do this driver dot find element. Now you might get another question. Let's say I'm doing a click and then I'm doing a send case. So should I need to write like this element driver dot find element element dot click? Again I will say element equal to driver dot find element then element dot send keys. Not really. We will definitely, because this is what you call repetitive, right? And we want to reduce the repetitive stuff in framework. So in our next video we are going to see how we can handle this tail element exception in a proper way actually, and that will be one of the what you call step towards building a good what you call practice into the test script writing. So stay tuned and do subscribe to this YouTube channel if you haven't. Thank you for watching.